The crowd is eagerly awaiting poker here at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, and the single elimination heads-up action is almost set to begin. 4 players are left in the field. Each are just 1 win away from the championship table.
I just love playing poker.
It started with 64 of the greatest names in poker, and now only 4 remain.
In a grueling tournament, you got to stay focused the whole way.
In the semifinals, the pressure is at its most intense.
Cards are cards. It's all numbers and odds and playing people and playing cards.
And by now, they've all felt the dramatic swings of heads-up play.
Look like you're going to win the match, and then it looks like you're going to lose the match, and your emotions and your adrenaline's really going to new highs and lows. It's kind of a wild ride.
After all the talk, it's finally time to find out who's the man.
One time.
The semifinals of the National Heads Up Poker Championship begin now.
You think you're taking my money, you better watch your step. Now when I come to play, you can be sure that I don't mess around. Now if you still think that you got the luck, come on, bring it on, heads up. If you think you can beat me one-on-one, come on, bring it on, heads up.
Welcome to Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, the home of champions for the 2006 National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by Outback Steakhouse. Hi, everybody. Matt Vasgersian alongside Gabe Kaplan, and inside the poker room at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, we're down to 2 tables here in the semifinal round of this single elimination heads-up tournament. And great matchups in both semifinals. First to our featured table, where last year's heads-up runner-up Chris Ferguson is facing Huck Seed, the winner of the 1996 World Series of Poker main event.
And everybody's talking about how focused Huck Seed is this year. Glad to see he's got his hat on backwards again. Had his hat on straight in that match with Barry Greenstein. I didn't know it was him.
Players, by the way, in the semifinals each start with $320,000 in chips, and both of these players suffered losses to the eventual winner in last year's tournament, Phil Hellmuth.
Now we got a pretty good flop here. Chris has flopped a pair of queens, and Huck has a flush draw. Chris checks.
And Huck bets $6,000.
There's that measured amount of time again. Just calls.
The turn pairs 7s for Chris Ferguson.
Chris Ferguson now has queens and 7s. He checked on the flop. But now he's got top 2 pair.
And he bets out here $15,000.
Now, a lot of players watching this are saying, what is Huck thinking about? Why doesn't he just call? He's got a flush draw. I think what Huck's thinking is, maybe I don't have the best flush draw. That 7 could have given Chris a pair. He could have 2 higher clubs. He could have ace-7 of clubs, king-7 of clubs, and he throws it away, and I think that's the reason. If Huck would have known that Chris had 2 pair and he had the only flush draw, probably would have called.
So semifinal action is underway, and at the feature table, Gabe, Chris Ferguson against Huck Seed, and it looks like this could be a really interesting matchup.
It sure is. Chris Ferguson has made it to the Final Four 2 years in a row. You cannot say enough about his consistency. There is a method to his madness, his outfit, his demeanor, and his deliberate style of play.
And while Chris Ferguson's face remains one of the most popular in poker, some casual fans may not know as much about his opponent, Huck Seed.
All the pros are talking about how well Huck Seed is playing in this tournament. 10 years ago, Huck Seed was the wonderkind of poker. He rode into Vegas on a steamboat straight out of a Mark Twain novel. He had an unbelievable, engaging personality. He would take any bet from anybody, and he played great, consistent poker. Well, Huckleberry Seed is back.
When I'm not playing poker, I really don't try to think too much about it because I play a lot of poker, and if you're thinking about it when you're not playing, it's too much. I just try to keep the poker at the table mostly. I mean, I really loved it when I was young, and I played it too much and burned myself out. And I went through a period where I just didn't have much interest in it. But the last few years, I really haven't played that much, and so I'm starting to get back into it now.
It's great to hear Huck talking about when he was young. He's about 37 now.
Scott Fishman looking on. He was eliminated by Huck Seed in the round of 16.
And there's the cast of the upcoming movie, Charlie's Angels 3.
Actually, Huck's girlfriend and her friends watching on. We go back to the featured table. And Seed with Jack-9 suited. Good enough for a raise to $13,000.
Huck has the button. Jack-9 suited, good hand.
An ace-7 for Chris Ferguson. He'll call. And the flop, Trey 9-5, a pair of nines for Seed. Chris checks.
And Huck's got the flop he wanted.
That's 7,500 on the flop. Chris calls.
That's very interesting. Chris must have seen something. He doesn't think that Huck has a hand.
The turn pairs fives on the board.
Now let's see if Chris was calling on the flop to try and take it away here. No, he just checks. He must think that ace-high is the best hand, and Huck checks.
River's a jack, so a better two pair for Huck. Jacks and nines.
Now Chris still has nothing. He's never had anything this whole hand, except ace-high. Huck bets 20,000. Now Chris is kind of pondering, why did Huck check on 4th Street? Why did he check on the turn? Maybe he has a hand like 4-6 or 6-7 or 7-8. Straight draw, and he's made nothing. Actually, Chris is kind of in the dark here because he's never put in a bet. He just called on the flop, and now he's going to call with ace-high. He's going to lose this pot.
So a two pair, Huck Seed takes down a nice pot early on in this semifinal match.
A nice pot that he shouldn't have had. A little gift from Chris Ferguson. Chris is a nice guy. Wanted to start out the match by giving Huck a little gift.
Coming up, another semifinal chapter unfolds. Stone-faced competitor Ted Forrest, one of the most feared players in the field, takes on the man who's shown no fear, the outspoken, always confident Sean "Sheiky" Chacon. From majestic Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, the home of champions, welcome back to the 2006 National Heads Up Poker Championship.
Heads up.
Let's get a look now at our tournament bracket. The single elimination draw began with 64 players, and as each round passed, half the field went home. There you see a closer look at the final 8, and now just 4 of the world's top players remain. Back inside into our other semifinal matchup, certainly a contrast in styles here. The quiet but dangerous Ted Forrest facing off against the always talkative Sean "Sheiky" Chacon. Look at him looking so humble there.
Well dressed today.